life is not just about earning money and Tesla stocks. Sometimes it's also about surfing and finding happiness. Today, we have a very special guest. Her name is Jean Voronkova.
Hi!
She has a YouTube channel called Jean Voronkova, where she shares her life experience and her lifestyle in Bali. So, welcome to the channel.
Thanks for having me, Kelvin.
Yeah. Can you share a bit more about yourself? Like, how was it growing up for you, and how did you achieve this current lifestyle?
My growing up was nothing special or out of the ordinary. I come from a very typical Singapore middle-class conservative family. I did do well in school. I was ex-GP, so I'm academic by nature. I love reading Chinese Kung Fu novels when I was young.
Yeah.
I was not sporty back then. I was really boring and quiet as a teen, essentially.
How exactly do you achieve financial independence that led you to this current lifestyle?
My early retirement, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, long story. So I think it sprang from having a vision for a dream life for myself, which in turn came from finding my passions in life, which is surfing and painting. I discovered both of these pursuits in my early 20s. At the same time, I really didn't love my job, you know? I was a corporate lawyer, but it really wasn't my thing. So eventually I decided to quit and leave before it was too late, before I got stuck in there permanently, like in quicksand. There was this burning urge to at least try to make life work differently from what everyone in society tells me, right? It was kind of like something that I couldn't resist. It was inexorable because every day, you know, I walk into office and there's this voice going like, life cannot be like this, life cannot be like this.
Right.
Yeah, so then I quit and I went out there. And then it was great actually. I became a surf instructor, then a yoga instructor, then a personal trainer. I taught languages. I did freelance legal and compliance assignments. I worked hard and I did everything I possibly could. I even started 4 different businesses with a lot of trial and error. And over 4+ years, it taught me a lot, all of that. I came to understand more about myself. I came to understand more about money. We all need money to fulfill a certain baseline lifestyle, right? But there are so many ways to make money outside of a 9 to 5, and what's more desirable is if it's somewhat passive, if it's like location independent. So then it kind of shaped my thinking. So about 4 years ago, I understood together with my husband that what we really wanted is somewhat passive, location independent income. So then we started to work towards that, right? We invested, we saved. First we saved. No, actually, first we worked. Then we saved, then we invested. And all towards that goal.
Right.
And then along the way, I also figured out together with him that where we really want to be based off is in Bali. And then from experience living there, you understand that, okay, this is X amount that you need to survive in Bali. So once you have a specific figure, you work backwards.
Right.
So then you're not perpetually running towards some imaginary goal in the future, right? So then actually within 4 years, surprisingly, we made it happen. So we moved to Bali and we're happy.
Yeah, I think it's very impressive that you managed to achieve this in just 4 short years. But what did your parents think about you quitting your high-paying lawyer job to go live off at some beach with your husband in Bali?
Well, I did it way before the husband came into the picture, but it's actually so unimaginable. I never really told them when I first kind of quit and left Singapore. They knew how unhappy I had been for so many years working, right? It's obvious. I was just grumpy every day.
Right.
My dad just kind of thought initially I was burnt out and that I was just going for a sabbatical. It took about maybe 6 months before he got clued in and he was like, "You're not coming back, are you?" And then after that, he didn't speak to me again for over 2 years.
Oh, okay.
So that was very, very painful. But as hard as it was for me struggling out there to try to make my dream life a reality, I think it's also very hard for my parents. I understand, it's very difficult for them to have this kid they cannot understand, that they cannot control anymore because I was 30 years old. Yeah. And they're so worried that I was doing undoable mistakes to my life. So actually, as hard as I struggle, I know my parents struggle too, Thankfully, eventually, they accepted that I was doing something weird, so they came to see what I was doing for themselves.
Right.
They visited me in Vietnam.
Ah.
And then even then, it was so strange for them. They would never imagine that an Asian girl from a conservative Singapore family would enjoy like being on the beach under the sun all day. It's really hot.
Right.
And then I'm dragging around people bigger size than me around in the water on kite surfing equipment. But they can see how happy I was,
Right.
you know, and that I was making an honest livelihood. It's an honest living. I wasn't doing anything funny. I wasn't doing any drug dealing or whatever funny things that Asian parents imagine.
Right.
And then, you know, things got good again between us. And now it's very, very good. Yeah, very happy to say.
Yeah, so I think like our parents have some sort of vision for us and our vision may not match theirs. So I think it's important that you live the life that you want, not the life that your parents want you to live. Yeah, because in the end, it's still your life.
Yeah, I think that a lot of actually Asian people have asked me the same question. Like, how on earth do you get your family to accept this? Well, I don't really have a proper answer for them because I did mine the hard way, right? I've literally bulldozed my way through and it was a lot of pain. So would I recommend it to other people? Not really, but I think it also depends. If you have good communication channels with your parents and they kind of like keep up with the times, then they might know that, you know, we live in very rapidly evolving times, right?
Right.
Things are very different from when they grew up. So they might possibly accept the idea,
Yeah.
you know, of you trying. Because there's no guarantee, right? Everyone just in life, you have to go and take your balls in your hands and just try, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think probably you have to show the result, like what you are achieving. In the end, your parents still want the best for you.
Correct. But also bear in mind that their generation's definition of what's a good life and what's best for you, it can be very different from us and our generation.
Right.
So we might have completely different definitions of what looks like a good life. But I think all parents just want their kids to be happy and to have enough.
Correct.
So if you can show that as a baseline, I think your parents might come around maybe if you want to do something similar.
Yeah, I think they will eventually come around, because they are still your parents, right? They can't just disown you because you don't want to follow their dreams.
Yeah, I don't think they're concerned about their dreams. They're just worried, you know, that we are doing wrong stuff.
So Jean, you left your well-paying lawyer job that just before you turn 30. Looking back, wouldn't it have been better if you just continue working for maybe 2, 3, 5 years to reach financial independence even earlier?
Well, not from a mental health perspective, no. So I left my job because it got to a point where I just couldn't carry on. It was just so much not my truth, you know. I was being somebody else. It was completely not me.
Okay.
And I kind of like, I didn't do much advanced planning. It was kind of like a 6 months impulse explosion kind of thing. So yeah, and I think I'm just not the person who has the perseverance and strength inside me to keep on doing a job that I felt that way about for like another 3 to 5 years while I'm like hoarding money and then making financial plans and then doing wise investments. That is really just not me. I was so tired out from my 9 to 5, which was not 9 to 5, it was more like 9 to 1 a.m. I would never have gone outside on the weekends and after work to go and learn about investing. You know, I was just exhausted, and whatever time I had outside of the job, I wanted to like do the things that I liked.
Right.
So then I couldn't ever see myself actually getting started to go and learn to be smarter about money, learn to be smarter about life whilst I was still in the day job. So I think it's a little bit like of a fallacy to ask or to look at life that way and say, would you have done things differently? Because I think given the nature of the person that I am, it just turned out the way it was meant to be.
Yeah, so I think there are a lot of paths that leads to your defined success. It's just that you took a different route that is originally planned for you. But I'm still glad that you like eventually reach your happiness.
Maybe I got lucky.
Yeah, I think luck has a big part to play in everything. Even for my YouTube, I think it's just luck that somehow I just wanted to do YouTube. Somehow I was inspired by other YouTubers. Somehow 2020 was a good time to start YouTube. Yeah, everything just falls into place if you probably put in the hard work. Quick pause, just in case you haven't heard, Weibo is the latest stockbroker in Singapore. With Weibo, you can buy your US stocks, US options and Hong Kong stocks for a low fee of $0. Yes, you heard that right. That's $0. They also have fractional shares which lets you buy your stocks with just $5 Ampao money. Then, of course, you might be wondering, what's their welcome gift? I'm glad you asked. If you sign up with my link down below, deposit at least $2,000, then make 6 buy trades on either US stocks, ETFs or options, you'll get $100 worth of Apple shares. This promotion ends on 30th June, yeah? With that being said, let's get back to the video. Okay then, if you could reset life, what is one thing that you would do differently this time?
Actually, it feels like nothing. Because everything that happened to me has shaped me and shaped my life into what it all is today. And I feel very blessed and privileged to say this, but I'm very, very happy. I'm very, very content.
Right.
I think very often, I wish I can just freeze frame my life right now. That's the way I feel about it. So then, in the past, of course, I wouldn't say I have had exactly a particularly easy life. There were actually many, many hard moments, many struggles. But when the good stuff happened, no complaints there, right? When the bad stuff happened, like when you get tortured at work because of politics, or you spend 6 years of your life drafting boring legalese that just really make you want to poke a fork into your eyeball. I learned from all of that though. Everything benefits you in some way, right? It is what you take away from it, right? Like all my legal pains, when I made my business, it all came in handy, right? It teaches you perspective. I'm never in a weak position when it came to negotiations. I know my way around the law, When it came to politics and surviving, kind of understanding how to negotiate your way around people. So I think you always can learn from the bad stuff. So not really anything that I would change actually.
Okay, here's the most gable question. Where's the money coming in from since you have quit your job? Is it from your investments or something?
Well, so we have built a number of passive income streams. Predominantly, it's actually just rental income. And it's not one property, it's a few.
Right.
I'm not that rich that I have a few properties in Singapore. We use the concept of geo arbitrage to find desirable investments with good ratio of return, as well as healthy capital appreciation.
Do you want to explain what is the concept of geo arbitrage?
Yes, so arbitrage is literally just the concept of taking advantages of different prices in different markets, right? So in Singapore, property price, too expensive. Capital appreciation, not fast enough. Rental income, not bad, but for the cost, it's going to take a long time to make things profitable in your favor. But there are other markets you can buy property in where, it's much more affordable. Capital appreciation is very healthy. And then the rental income is actually not bad. So you got to explore different things.
So basically, you have properties all around and use it to fund your lifestyle in Bali. It's because of that you were able to make this whole thing happen. It's because the lifestyle in Bali is much cheaper.
Okay, so it's not just from one property, and they're not in Singapore but elsewhere, where it's more affordable to buy, capital appreciation is healthy, rental income is decent. The husband and I both have stocks portfolios. Mine is mostly US growth stocks.
Right.
There's some dividends and a very little amount of crypto because, everyone's been saying for the last 2 years is a necessary component of an investment an investment portfolio that's properly diversified.
Right.
Yeah.
So the thing that I feel when I watch your videos is that you look very happy. You look very relaxed. In the morning, you light incense candles. Then you go surfing and you come back and do your paintings. So that's basically your day-to-day life. But what's your biggest worry nowadays?
Well, my biggest worry is stuff like black swan events that will collapse all of my planning, right? Like, and you know, it's not such a joke because in the last 2 years we've had a pandemic and a war, a lot of unexpected things that actually have like full real world repercussions. Right. So there's actually been a lot of disruptions to our planning, but so far still manageable. We maneuver things around. But it does make me worry for this plan, what we have now financially, because we are still at a relatively like early stage of our lives, right? We've got a long road more to go. So then I think about that, but it's very, very difficult to plan to deal with unknown unknowns, right? So also, I mean, I'm also still thinking about maybe having a kid, even though I know I'm not very young anymore, but you know, we think about it. Maybe we'll get lucky.
Yeah.
So those are my worries.
So right now, you are able to live in Bali, living a modest life from your whatever investment, properties, stocks. But have you done any backup for any unexpected stuff, like maybe suddenly a kid pop up? Or maybe the war prolonging and makes everything worse? What's your plan?
Well, I think to be fair, like we are retired in the sense that we no longer work a 9 to 5, but it doesn't mean we sit around on our asses all day long doing nothing and just enjoying life in a very like lackadaisical manner. We don't. We stay very productive. And actually what I would really like with my husband is to actually create a new business. We're actually pretty good at business as a couple. We both have our strengths that are very complementary. But at the same time, we are very, very conservative when it comes to starting something new. So, and we never want to start something new in a country that's not ours by just jumping into things. We want to like get to know the people, build relationships, understand the way the government works, you know, the local government especially, a lot of things. So I think eventually we will start a business. So it will be deemed as maybe returning to some kind of employment. Yeah, but of course, I can't tell you in what time frame that will happen because it really depends on having an idea with a high possibility of success. So we like that kind of formula for starting a business. In any event, I think like we keep active, right? Like we monitor the stocks, a little bit of crypto trading. We manage the rentals and we're still saving actually.
So you have a surplus of money that you are able to save.
Yeah, the YouTube actually, although I don't rely on it for my livelihood, it's a nice bonus, right? That it's a super nice extra that comes from actually doing something you really enjoy. And like whatever extra we have, we're still saving. So, and then we will continue to invest that as well. So I don't see our financial situation as stagnant in a sense. Yeah.
Yeah, in any worst case scenario, you still have all your experience, skills that you're able to put to good use. So I think that's the worst backup plan if anything bad happens.
I think you're right. I think I'm always pretty confident in my ability to execute a job well. Yeah, like all the skills that I have. And I'm a good employee. You know, when I do something, you know, I give it my all, you know. So yeah, I think I might be a little old, therefore undesirable. But we'll see how it goes. I'm not overly worried lah.
Okay. Some people actually feel that if one retires early, he or she would just like sit around, go to the beach, do nothing, like a lazy bum bum. How do you really like find a purpose in life after retirement?
Well, I think people who think like that tend to be people who have spent literally majority of their lives beavering away at their jobs non-stop, and they never had a chance to properly develop themselves personally outside of work. And that's a huge pity because there is so much about life to enjoy. I mean, look at the Europeans and how they live, you know. In general, they're not much about work at all. You know, they're all about enjoying life, you know, taking a walk, making tasty, healthy meals for the family and themselves, you know, growing stuff in the garden, enjoying time in nature and the sunshine, time with pets, cultivating a million possible hobbies and passions like what? Needlework, pottery.
Right.
For me, surf, art. There's also writing, music. The list is endless.
Right.
Right? How can you say that there is nothing to do outside of work? My dad too is another real life example and inspiration for me. So when he first retired, some years back, he kind of like spent the first couple of years driving us all nuts because he didn't know what to do with himself. But with time, he developed. He learned how he likes to spend his time. He grew hobbies, you know. So now he's been retired quite many years actually, and he rarely ever spends a day just lying around on the couch watching TV. You know, he's super busy. He's always cooking or baking or fixing something with his hands around the house or gardening, you know. He does all of this really, really well as well, you know. So I really admire him. And these are all his interests. That's why, you know, he brings himself to higher levels in all these different areas constantly. And him and my mom, they travel a lot, like at least before the pandemic took over. So they're also they're living a good life themselves.
Yeah.
I have found that life's purpose and meanings is not one noble, great endeavor. It is a composite of all the different little components and aspects of life that matters to you personally. So for me, it's like, what is it? It's like caring for my loved ones, you know, learning new skills that I'm interested in, getting better at doing what I love. If you live like that, you wake up every day excited to get on with your life, with your day, you know. And so I think purpose in life after retirement revolves around keeping busy and active and productive. It's just not with a 9 to 5 and the typical work-related stuff.
I agree with this part. Life is more than just about work and money and more work. Since right now you are retired, is there any big goal that you are trying to achieve?
Generally speaking, in the bigger picture of things, I'm super happy. So I just kind of like want to like roll along in this manner to live happily more or less in this way until the end of my time.
Right.
But I guess if there was a next big goal, it's possibly either a new business with my husband in Bali or a child. I don't know if, because I know I'm kind of old, so we'll let biology decide.
Why not both?
But we don't know, but we'll see how.
Right. So for the final question, like, do you have any advice on how to live life in a meaningful way?
I think that to be meaningful, you need to be living your own truth. Like sensibly, not in a rush, not taking leaps of faith and jumping around everywhere. But if you look at yourself honestly and carefully, and you do for yourself what you need in order that you're happy and content, and then you will have the grace in life, you will have the space in your mind to share all your good stuff with other people. You know, and that is meaningful. That whole picture is meaningful. But at least, you know, I think that's how it happened for me. So from my own real experiences, that is what I have to share. Yeah.
Okay, we have come to the end of this interview. Thank you, Jean, for joining us in this interview. If you have not subscribed to her yet, do check out her channel. She talks a lot about Bali stuff, Bali food, and Bali life. So that's all for today. Like, share, and subscribe as I'll be posting more videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Bye!
Bye! Thank you guys. Bye-bye. Thank you, Kelvin.
Thank you.